find yourself struggling with seeing ads and wanting things that you can't afford? Yeah, that is a tough thing to deal with. So let's talk about desire, which actually could be called coveting. So this week I was working with my confirmation students on the 10 Commandments. And we came to talking about, like, you should not covet your neighbor's wife or any of his property. And, a lot of these things uses words people don't understand. So I like to say, so what does the word covet mean? And nobody really knew. So I basically said, it means desire, to want. And we are to not want that which belongs to others. And having a desire for stuff can be very debilitating and harmful to us. Now, for most of history, most people were very poor. There wasn't much luxury around them to even dream of. And what they would have defined as luxury, in today's age, we consider that poverty. So coveting wasn't the same for them as it is for us. Instead, we live in a time and a place of plenty. So we are constantly bombarded with ads everywhere, literally everywhere, showing us all these things that are somehow going to improve our lives and make us happy. We are a consumer economy. That is what drives a lot of our economic growth and jobs. But it's not good for us as people. First of all, it uses a lot of resources, and it leaves us with a lot of stuff that's excessive, not needed, and hard to store and maintain. So wanting things often causes us dissatisfaction. Of course, there are things that are very practical that we desire. I mean, I desire to have good food to eat. I desire to have safety and a comfortable bed to sleep in. Those are some pretty basic things. But I have found I try to limit how much else I really look for, because it doesn't help me feel better. We all struggle, well, or I should say at least most of us struggle with limited financial resources. So there's always going to be some other thing that we are going to desire, but we're just not going to have the resources to buy it. And unfortunately, our culture has come up with a painless way to do that just hides the pain and the true cost by having us buy everything on credit. Buy today, here's the convenience of having it right away, and you can pay for it later. But often that leads to some serious problems with debt and cash flow, especially if you experience something like a job shift, like getting laid off, or any number of things. For me, I'm currently in a role in my job where I move from place to place on a somewhat frequent basis. In the last year and a half, I have moved 3 times, which means I have to pack everything up, move to a new location, and unpack everything. You know, when you have to move much, you discover how much extra stuff you have that you don't need and is really kind of a pain to be moving. It takes up precious space, it takes up energy. And as you start to pare things down, you find you don't really miss it. You really don't. And with less stuff around you, you actually find more peace because you're not constantly dealing with this sense of clutter and stuff encroaching on you. And, you know, we are given the 10 Commandments to give us, rules of how to behave so that we can live together with other people in reasonable peace. But the 10 Commandments were given to us in a time before Jesus came, where it was about just controlling our behavior. Nobody could really, truly keep the 10 Commandments, though they worked at it very diligently. When Jesus came, he kind of upped the cost of what was required. He tells us it's not just not wanting what your neighbor has. It is literally things like do not even look at things with that desire. Do not look at women or men with some sort of desire, because when you do, in your heart, you have already broken the taboos and engaged in the activity. Wow. What was he getting at? Well, I think what he was really getting at is when you desire what you do not have, when you let your eye wander and imagine what is out there, you develop this sense of uneasiness and dissatisfaction. That it's a way that you are tempted to, kind of move away from God, to do things that you should not do. And then you end up living with this guilt and frustration. So what I would suggest for you is realize that the answer and antidote for desire is contentment. And the way you get contentment is through gratitude. Yes, I know, I've probably told you this before. But when you stop and you start to look at what you actually have around you, the people and relationships you have, you will find that you will get content, and you will not then be distracted by all these baubles that are being put in front of you. And you will lower your stress, and you won't get into the financial pickles that so many of us do when we give into those temptations. And with that, I encourage you to have a very blessed day. Amen.